What's up guys, it's Crossing here, and welcome to another review. Today we are taking a look at Lollipop Chainsaw. Alright, and here we go. Lollipop Chainsaw is a crazy, arcade-style third-person hack-and-slash game from the minds of Goichi Suda, also known as Suda51, and filmmaker James Gunn, who's known for writing the screenplay for the Scooby-Doo films back in the early 2000s. It was developed by Grasshopper Manufacturing and published by Kadokawa Games and Warner Brothers Games. It released on June 12, 2012 in North America, June 14, 2012 in Japan, and June 15, 2012 in Europe. Like all of Suda51's games, the Lollipop Chainsaw is very different from anything else in the gaming industry. Even though a certain level of insanity can be expected from any Suda51 game, Lollipop Chainsaw is crazier than any game he's put out. So it's crazier than Shadows of the Damned, way crazier than No More Heroes 1 and 2, and definitely way more crazier than Killer 7 gameplay. Lollipop Chainsaw is a classic example of a third-person hack-and-slash video game. Players are armed with a chainsaw and progress through linear levels that get increasingly difficult as the game progresses. The game never reaches a certain level of difficulty where it makes anyone want to rage quit. It's relatively easy on its normal difficulty. Each level culminates in a boss that has some sort of gimmick to defeating it, like in most games. Other game standards can be found, such as collecting new weapons, getting upgrades, and learning new combo attacks. As you would in a hack-and-slash game, all of these can be found from the in-game shop, and spending the money that you get from killing lots of zombies. Aside from the chainsaw, players can use pom-pom attacks to stun zombies, the chainsaw dash to tear through zombies at high speeds, and the chainsaw blaster to fire at zombies from a distance. All these weapons are at your disposal to destroy the undead hordes that have invaded San Romero High School. See, Romero, like George A. Romero. Anyway, players can also do special attacks using the severed head of Juliet's boyfriend, Nick. Juliet being the main character, Nick being her boyfriend. You play as Juliet in the game, so there you go. The boss fights are in stages that go up as you go through each of the bosses, with the first stage being quite simple. Basically just lower the boss's health through heavy attacks, and as the stages go on, the boss's gimmicks are revealed. The bosses have gimmicks unique to each different boss, and those are introduced usually by the second stage. One boss, Mariska, makes clones of herself, requiring the player to destroy her clones before being able to damage the boss. Another boss, the first boss, Zed, requires you to destroy speakers that he stands on so that you can attack him. After the boss's health bar has been drained, the player must do a specific button command to saw the boss in half, usually a direction on your left stick, while holding the Y button. After sawing the boss in half, you'll either progress to the next stage of the fight where the boss becomes a bit tougher, or the boss fight is over and you will unlock the achievement for completing that level and defeating that boss. Lollipop Chainsaw also features a few QTEs, QuickTime events. These are very popular in a lot of Japanese games. Just look at the Resident Evil franchise recently. Resident Evil 5 was full of so many QTEs it wasn't even funny. In fact, the entire boss fight against Wesker at the very end of Resident Evil 5 was practically one giant QuickTime event with a bit of moving around in between and some shooting. Same goes for Resident Evil 6, being filled with a ton of QTEs that were all kind of annoying because they didn't register right a lot of the time. But that's for a different review. But I'm just saying, QTEs can be a bit annoying. Most gamers are used to how those work by now, though, because they're so popular in a lot of games made in Japan. For anyone who doesn't know, a button will flash up on screen and you have a limited amount of time to press it, or else you usually end up dying. All in all, the gameplay is very straightforward, You just run around, zombies show up, and you cut their heads off with a chainsaw. Small events are thrown in to keep things from becoming too stale, such as putting Nick's head on a zombie's body to destroy an obstacle, which features another QTE. Also, there's driving a combine harvester to mow over hundreds of zombies and harvest a field at the same time for Achieve, and entering an arcade machine during the 4th level of the game, which, I mean, it gets pretty crazy because it takes things from classic arcade games, including Pac-Man, and, well, some other ones that I never really played. The game has 2 endings, but I only unlocked the bad one because I did not rescue all the classmates, which classmates are collectible and they're used to getting the good ending. I was off by 1. I only let 1 die in the very first mission, and that's it, and that's what stopped me from getting the good ending. The other collectibles included in the game are finding certain lollipops, and I found probably about 2 of those, and the rare named zombies I add to the zombie album. As far as video game plots go, the plot of Lollipop Chainsaw... Oh, I forgot to mention, this is the plot section. I'm sorry. As far as video game plots go, the plot of Lollipop Chainsaw is fairly weak, yet very original. The story centers on Julia Starling, a cheerleader at San Romero High School who happens to come from a family of zombie hunters, because, you know, that's normal. On her 18th birthday, she arrives at school to find it overrun with zombies. Of course, being from a family of zombie hunters helps, and she grabs her chainsaw and goes to work. Her boyfriend Nick is bitten while tackling a zombie that tried to attack a distracted Juliet. Subsequently, Nick's head has to be removed by Juliet's chainsaw in an effort to save him. Nick is saved through the use of magic at the cost of his body, and they set out to stop the undead. In the cafeteria of the school, Julia runs into Morikawa Sensei, who is a perverted old Japanese man. He reveals that someone used black magic and a lot of explosives to destroy the barrier between Earth and the rotting world, allowing gases on Earth that turn people into zombies. Not your usual zombie plot, but it works, right? The culprit is an evil goth named Swan, who was mad at the world because of the way he was treated in high school. Swan summons 5 dark purveyors to the world. Morikawa Sensei tries to stop Swan, but when he does, he is killed and goes to the land beyond words. It's very much beyond words. Juliet then sets out to kill the dark purveyors, and along the way meets up with her sisters Cordelia and Rosalind, and her dad Gideon. With the help of her family, she destroys the dark purveyors, which was all part of Swan's plan. With the dark purveyors sacrificed, Swan opens a portal and summons the ultimate zombie, Killer Billy, who looks remarkably like Elvis. With the help of Morikawa from beyond the grave and Nick, Killer Billy is destroyed and the world is saved. In the ending, Nick even regains a body. Not his, but Kawa's, making him, like, very short. After the credits, one of 2 endings will happen. The bad ending, in which Juliet's mom becomes a zombie. And the good ending, in which there is a party and Nick gives her a box of lollipops as a present. Wow. So, there's the good ending for you. I had to look that up, too, because I didn't unlock that because I'm bad at games. Anyways, final thoughts on this game. Even though the plot was fairly weak, I ended up enjoying Lollipop Chainsaw. It wasn't serious, it was funny at times, and the gameplay was good, with only a few bugs. Which is something I say because a lot of times now games are so super serious, and it's nice to just get away from that. I really did like the comic book style and use of cel-shaded graphics, something that I haven't seen a lot in mature games. The soundtrack was really good as well, featuring licensed music along with the background tracks. And the music, the music was coordinated by Jimmy Urine from her band, God, what was that? Doesn't matter. And it was Jimmy Urine did the music. Cherry Bomb, Mickey, and Pac-Man Fever were among the tracks in the game, which is pretty incredible because it's the first game I've ever played where Pac-Man Fever is actually a track in the game. There's only one bug I experienced, in which I couldn't move except for jumping. It wasn't too terrible, but it didn't help in timer-based areas, which there are a few of, and one that you even have to try to get through for an achievement. The achievements weren't too crazy, but one of them involved getting all the coins in a rooftop section, and that part where the building's collapsing on you with only 5 minutes to do it seemed pretty much impossible. I feel like the plot isn't a big factor when it comes to a Suda51 game as a review point, because they only seem weak compared to other industry standards. If all Suda51 plots had their own category, then Lollipop Chainsaw plot wouldn't feel weak at all. I give Lollipop Chainsaw a 7 out of 10 overall. The soundtrack was great, the gameplay was smooth except for one minor bug. It was a little weak plot-wise, but I still enjoyed it. It was fun to play, even if it was terribly short, with only 6 missions. And, well, one of those missions was like about 10 minutes long, and with the longest mission probably being about an hour. Well, that's going to do it for me here. Thank you guys for watching. I've been Mono Crossing, and this has been a review of Lollipop Chainsaw.